I think it's time we had a head-to-head, and this time we are looking at who has the best watch game out of these fictional spies and assassins. James Bond, John Wick, Ethan Hunt, Jason Bourne, and Jack Ryan. Welcome back to the WatchGecko channel, all of you watch heroes and nerds. As always, I am Chris, your awkward horologist host, and today we are taking a look at my favourite watches worn by the aforementioned fictional spies and assassins. Now, some ground rules before we begin. Firstly, it is strictly 2 watches, specifically my favourite 2 watches per agent. This is to stop the list becoming overly long and, let's be honest here, massively one-sided in favour of 007. But before we start this assignment, I have a mission for you, should you choose to accept it. Check out the WatchGecko website where you can find lots of watch straps, leather, nylon, rubber and even metal bracelets. Click on the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to dress up your watch. Okay, so kicking off this list is the longest running spy series, the Mac Daddy of espionage, the OG James Bond. Now, he has worn so many watches, we've already done videos on it in the past, and my favourites have always been the Rolex Submariner 5513, a watch which was worn by Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton's Bond. Sean Connery also wore a Submariner, by the way. It was the 6538, a really nice watch too, but for me, the 5513 is just peak sub. Also, not to plug my own collection, but this is also remarkably similar to my Tudor Submariner 7016, which is basically my favourite watch. And for the second watch on this list, it is a toss-up between the Omega Seamaster 300 Heritage Daniel Craig's Bond wears in Spectre, or the Omega Aquaterra he wears in Skyfall. Now, the Bond franchise has a long history with Omega. Ever since my childhood Bond, Pierce Brosnan, wore the Quartz Seamaster 300 in GoldenEye, which is another nice model, and a pretty good film. But in the interest of variety, I'm going with the Omega Aquaterra for my second choice. So the Rolex Submariner 5513 currently retails on sites like Chrono24 and eBay for around £7,500 to £9,000. And the Omega Aquaterra, well, this specific model, goes for around £4,500 to £5,000. But you can get quartz and older versions of the Aquaterra for as little as £1,500 to £2,000. So moving on from Bond, we have the assassin who has taken the meaning of cult action hero to a whole new level. It's Baba Yaga. Sorry, I mean John Wick. Throughout the films, he wears this, the Carl F. Bucherer, the Monero Autodate, a really classy watch, and it's less of a sports watch and more of a dressy number, which works so well with his whole aesthetic. Now, this particular model comes in at £2,500. It's a 38mm case and the water resistance is only 3 atmospheres, but it does look so sweet. Okay, so unfortunately, that's the only watch we have worn by John Wick here, but slow your roll. There is another famous watch story tied in with the John Wick franchise and the, well, let's just say legendary generosity of one Keanu Reeves. So when filming wrapped up on John Wick 4, Keanu Reeves actually gifted his stunt team a Rolex Submariner each, plus one for himself, because, well, why wouldn't you? On the case back was a personal message to the John Wick 5 from Keanu Reeves himself. This story takes a bit of a turn as in 2023, Keanu's Submariner was actually stolen from his home but was remarkably recovered a year later by authorities in Chile, who were able to reunite Keanu Reeves with his watch. But who doesn't love a happy ending, eh? This Submariner goes for around £8,000, obviously not personalised by Keanu Reeves, mind you. Now it is time for everyone's favourite Scientologist, Tom Cruise, and arguably his most well-known role nowadays, Ethan Hunt, in the Mission Impossible franchise, which recently concluded. Since we recently reacted to Tom Cruise's collection, I think you guys are going to know which 2 watches I am choosing. So a first watch I actually own is the Casio DW290, as worn in the first Mission Impossible film. There are also some awesome G-Shocks he wears in both 2 and 3, but I really like this one. I think it's the no-nonsense design with a face that only a mother could love, and I can absolutely sympathise with that. The amazing specs for this one are for less than £40. It is such a cool and affordable and, dare I even say, iconic 90s timepiece. I love it and I do wear it, and sometimes I wear it more than my G-Shock. Now, next up we have a watch that if Tudor re-released, I would absolutely be signing up for it as quick as humanly possible. It is the Tudor Heritage Chronograph. My God, what a cool watch this is. I like that it's a fairly modern Tudor, that it's not a black bay and has its own unique look about it. Look, I love the pop of orange on the dial, the racing style layout, and for me it is 1000% more desirable than any black bay chrono. But what do you guys think? Now, prices for this one go for around £2,500 to £3,000. Not bad for an entry-level luxury chronograph. My God, it's Jason Bourne. Sorry, I just had to say that. In the first Jason Bourne film, whilst looking through a safe deposit box with cash, passports and a gun, is the Tag Heuer CT111BA0550. This is powered by the quartz module ETA 251262, has a stainless steel bezel and looks like a divers/hybrid inspired watch. Now, although this watch is worn by Matt Damon's Bourne in several films, he eventually upgrades to this, the Tag Heuer Formula 1 chronograph quartz, again I believe with the same movement, but this time in PVD black. Both of these watches I'm guessing would be sub £1,500. Gotta say, I prefer the PVD black version over the other one. Not really a fan of the 90s and noughties Tag Heuer bracelets in general, if I'm honest. Now, to round off this battle royale, we have another legendary skilled agent working for the CIA, and it's the only TV character on this list. I'm talking, of course, about John Krasinski's take on Jack Ryan. In the first 3 series of the show, he wears a pretty nice stealthy number by Hamilton, and it's the perfect pairing for a spy. Especially an American spy, in my opinion, given the history of Hamilton as originally an American brand. This is the Hamilton Khaki Field Auto Chrono, reference H71626753. It is a pretty nice looking military inspired chronograph. It's 42mm in diameter and features an ETA based movement. It has pops of colour up to the right tip of the second hand, something that they do very well on the fantastic Hamilton Khaki Field Auto. And the crown is also the only part of the watch that's not PVD. Again, which is a pretty good thing, as being part of the most interactive part of the watch, PVD would fade sooner on that one. I think this goes for around £1,800. I have found similar items on eBay for around £1,300 going upwards. It's a decent price for a pretty decent watch. Finally, we have this. Krasinski's character during the 4th series wears the GCT Vortic Military Edition watch. I have to say, this is a really nice looking field watch, again, completely in keeping with a spy. It has a 12 o'clock crown and gunmetal finishing. I always love a green strap too, and it's a 24-hour dial, which is unusual, but essentially it means instead of the hour hand doing 2 laps of the dial in a day, it just does it in 1. Now, it can sometimes feel a little weird telling the time in a different way, but you do get used to it. Now, this is a smaller brand and the model itself is a limited edition featuring antique American pocket watches originally manufactured for the US Army Air Corps and used on the B-17s and B-24s during World War II. It is a pretty expensive watch though, going in at $10,000, which is around £7,500 UK pounds. But again, really appropriate for a military man. Okay, so now we've gone over all of the choices for all of the spies in today's list. Let's judge them, shall we? Right, so I'm going to put these into 2 distinctly different orders here. Firstly, I'm going to order them in terms of cool factor. So who has the coolest 2 bunch in my opinion? I'm going to then flip it on its head and rank them again in terms of most appropriate for a spy. Oh, and by the way, I'm discounting James Bond's secret spy gadgets on a watch. We are just looking purely at the watches today. So let's look at this from a purely cool perspective. I think I'm gonna have to go with James Bond in number 1. I mean, come on guys, it had to be, mainly because of my love for the 5513 Submariner. Secondly, and it is a really tough one here, but I think I'm going to have to go with Ethan Hunt because I just love the Tudor watch and the Casio as being one of my favourite wares. Okay, in third place, I'm going to be putting Jack Ryan. I love the Hamilton and the story behind it, but it's the GCT and the brand that still supports military veterans today that makes it just so cool. Rounding off the list, I'm going to put John Wick in fourth place and finishing off with Jason, sorry I'm not a fan of the bracelet, Bourne, in last place. I think that's fair. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so now let's move on to the ranking in terms of how appropriate I feel it would be for a man of action or a spy to actually wear. And you know what? I'll do it in reverse order this time. So least at the bottom to most useful at the top. So at the bottom of this list, unfortunately, I'm going to have to stick John Wick here. I mean, a dress watch with just 30 meters of water resistance doesn't really scream man of action to me. Yes, you've got the Submariner, I suppose, but I can't quite count that in as it's an off-screen thing. Now, next up, I'm putting 007, and I'll tell you for why. Those watches are properly expensive and shiny and flashy, but I just don't see you wanting to take that into a war zone. Sorry, dude. At third place, I'm going to be putting Jason Bourne. Look, those era of tags may not be my thing, but heck, they feel rough and ready, and bonus points for the PBD Heuer. In second place, we have, drumroll please, Ethan Hunt on the Mission Impossible franchise. The Casio is legendary, and of course the Tudor is a more expensive tool watch, but it's nowhere near the prices of Bond's watches, and it's just so cool. Which means that Jack Ryan is the most realistic in my opinion. The PVD Hamilton is awesome, and the GCT is expensive, but has a pretty nice story behind it, and it feels like a proper military watch in my opinion. Now, this has been my personal opinion, but what do you think? Do you agree with my list? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the WatchGecko YouTube channel and check out some awesome deals on straps, accessories, and micro brands on our website. I've been Chris, codename Awkward Horology, and I'll see you all in the next video.